Action and welcome everybody. This is PnP Weekly episode 107. I think it's correct, probably. Yes, it's in the invite as well. Cool, I got it right. It is last day of November, so you can finally start opening those Christmas. What are those? Christmas
calendars.
Advent. If it's an Advent calendar, then that started already from yesterday.
No, it's on December 1st.
Yeah, that's the first Advent. But if it's a Christmas or December calendar, then it starts from 1st of, at least in Finland anyway. Now,
today I learned that in Finland, Advent starts in the first day of the week where December is. That's some days, right?
It's the 4 weeks before of the Christmas because of, and then it's the last Sunday. Yeah, anyway. So super specific. This is how organized we are. So in PnP Weekly, we'll talk about what's happening in the Microsoft 365 area and about Advent calendars. And typically, we also have visitors. But my name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a program manager in the SharePoint engineering side, and with me as a co-host is Waldek. Who are you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Waldek Mastykarz. I am cloud developer advocate at Microsoft, and today we have a guest from Italy with nice weather and sun, Fabio Franzini.
It's always sunny and nice weather, right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Where are you actually, Fabio, based on? Are you in the Milan area as well?
No, I'm living in Garda Lake area, so it's in the middle of the north of Italy. Yeah.
Yep. I've actually been there when I was
it's a very
8 years
beautiful
old
place.
It is.
It was, right, Vesa?
Yeah, yes. It's okay. So that was a while ago. Now, Fabio, can you slightly elaborate? What do you do and who are you? So what's your kind of a background related on technology and Microsoft 365?
Yes, so I am MVP on this year on 2 categories. The first of all, it's office development, and the second one is Power Platform. I'm a business application MVP. So what I do in my life, I'm a senior consultant. I work with a lot of companies around Italy and Europe. And so my job is to create solution inside the Microsoft 365 ecosystems and develop some prototypes to speed up the process to create new solution.
Yeah, and you're kind of an independent consultant as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you decided to go with the independent route. Let's come back on that one because I think some of our listeners might be interested on going that route. So we will put you on spot for telling us the 5 tips on that or something like that. So, so now you have some time to think about it. Just kidding. Now, but you've been around for a long time as well, right, Fabio? You are actually an MCM for SharePoint, unless I'm completely mistaken. Are you? No, you're not in MC.
No.
Okay.
No, but I'm working with SharePoint, I think, from 12 years ago, I think.
Wow.
I'm starting as a web developer in ASP.NET with the ASP.NET framework. And then I'm started working in SharePoint and then moved to the client side of SharePoint programming, of course. And then, now I'm working on the SharePoint, Teams,
Azure,
and Power Apps.
Power Apps, all of that stuff. Well, it's a kind of a natural transition. Everybody's going through the same kind of a pipeline.
I don't know, but I was just about to ask, like, what made you look into Power Apps, Power Automate?
I like the Power Platform. I think it's a good way to speed up some kind of projects, not relevant project, not the very core project for the companies, but it's possible to create in a very small time applications, and of course with Power Automate workflows, and then make a mashup of all the services that we have in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, or in the client's ecosystem, like REST API or something like that. And I think it's very important, both for the citizen developer, but of course for the developers.
Yeah, it's absolutely, there's absolutely a need for that kind of innovation as well, where we actually empower the normal end users to automate operations as well. So, and that's a massive reach then to empower those people. But then there's a separate set of how would you differentiate? What would be the business requirements related on when you look for a Power Automate or Power Platform based solution or a non-Power Platform based solution? What would be those, let's say, discussion points from your perspective?
I'm working usually with an integration from code-based solution and low code-based solution. So I'm not working with a complete Power Platform solutions, but so I think that there are two different ways to approach the creation of our solutions in a company. I think that for me it's not powerful to build everyone into the Power Platform, because something there are it's necessary to create code to integrate systems. And then I think that so the Power Platform, it's a very an expressive and very powerful platform, but I think that we need to collaborate with low developers and pro developers to build solutions. So I think that it's very interesting to build a solution that are based on in part on the Power Platform and in part of code, I think.
Yeah. Have you tried going down the route where you would, for example, build building blocks for users, like connectors or components, and then like give this to them and let them use these building blocks to assemble their apps? Or is it more like you help them with building apps, help them or build apps for them, but you don't really look into these building blocks? Like,
so in my experience, the users, so it's different because we need to discuss regarding the company that we have in Italy and in the rest of the Europe, because the market is very different. Mm-hmm. In Italy, we have a lot of companies that don't want to pay the pro license, and then it's difficult to use custom connector or something like that. Yeah, it's very a big problem. So mm-hmm. I think that the license of the Power Platform, it's not very I don't know what is the correct term. It's it's
encouraging for companies to adopt it.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. But I think that the Power Platform, it's fantastic because I have a great possibility to expand and extend the Power Platform, like the connectors and like the custom components, for example, in Power Apps. And I built some components. And this is very powerful. It's very simple to build a new component for Power Apps by using, for example, React, and reuse the Fluent UI component. Yeah, it's very powerful. But I think that we have to navigate inside the Power Apps and Power Platform license to select the best part and then use it inside on a project.
Just out of curiosity, related on that one, sorry for drilling on and putting you on a spot, Fabio, on this, but I think it's fair. If the licensing would not exist, would you then use Power Platform for everything? Or is it still kind of a deciding factor when to use Power Platform or not? Just to be super clear on those who might not be familiar with this concept.
Yes, the license, I think it's a very, it's the big problem when you have to select the Power Platform as a platform to build applications. I think this is my opinion. Yeah.
But what about if it would completely get rid of somebody could just get rid of the licensing, and that's not a deciding factor? Would then everything be Power Applications and flows, or how do you see the world on that from that perspective?
Can you repeat?
No. So if we would give, as a Microsoft, we would give all of this Power Platform tooling for free, everybody, as part of the E3, would everything be then based on Power Platform, or is there still a place where you want to use pro developer tooling?
Wow, it's a good question, but it's different. It's difficult to respond. So I think that there are some part of the project that could be implemented by using the Power Platform. Of course, the Power Automate, I think it's the best solution to create a way to create a workflow that the end users are able to change, of course, to modify. It's the same for the Power Apps, because with Power Apps we are able to create, for example, on a mobile solution in a fraction of the time that you need to create the same solution as a native using native tools, for example. But it's different to take this all this service and put into a solution in a good way. Let me explain. For example, if you want to use all the free license of the Power Apps, for example, you can use on a connector and then save or read items from a SharePoint list. Okay, but we have to decide if the SharePoint list is the good place to store the data.
Sure.
And for example, so I think that if you use a Power Platform without knowledge and without on a real project behind, I think that it's the same that create some application inside Excel or Access, for example. So we need to build. So Power Platform is a great platform, but we need to architect in a good way the solution.
Yeah, I think the Access reference.
And the license, it's a problem in this case, because if you want to connect to a SQL database, I need a pro license. And so this is the problem.
There's always the implications on that. Now the reference to Access is actually kind of good, because I still remember, I think it was Steve Walker who at some point said that he had been already, he's one of my old friends in Microsoft, now he's back in Microsoft, but he used to say that, well, he left the company like 10 years ago, and then he was already working in Microsoft, and they came back and asking because they needed to have something changed within their Access database, which was running the whole show. So there's still like thousands and thousands of companies across the world who are basically running their business with Excel and Access.
But I guess
because that was the easiest way to do stuff.
That is an interesting point, right? Because Fabio, you mentioned that like one of the hardest parts is to have users like to truly benefit of the options you have. You need to architect well whatever you're building. But the challenging part is that majority of time, people who use Power Platform are not coming from a deep tag background where you would know about throttling, maintaining code over time, applications, architecture, reusable, bolded. So how would you marry these two? Like, how would you, like, what do you think is the right way? How would you approach it or empower users with less technical depth to help them make the right choice when they're building their apps?
This is the main big problem, I think. Of course, we need to to teach some people, and then make course, and then create a solid knowledge about this platform, because so it's very simple to start to create an app or create a flow, but it's more difficult to maintain in the future if the user just mesh up something inside the flow, or control and use a function inside our apps. So I think that we need to inform the user, and then transfer the knowledge, and then empower the user to know these services.
So it's part of the change management process, and making sure that they can actually take the maximum value out of the investment, which would be in this case a license or whatever has been assigned to them. So absolutely makes sense.
I think that this is common in all the softwares. So if you want to use Teams, you need to understand how Teams is working.
True.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and I guess like it is exactly as you say. It's easy to build your first app and get it to run, but only then you realize like, oh yeah, we need to have logging. We need to be able to tell when things break, because we are not there to look at how person X uses that. So how will we know when things go bad for them? How do we tell what's wrong, right? So like these are the different things that you will probably basically learn over time as you adopt flows and power apps.
Yeah.
Which are, like you said, like Fabio said, super typical processes which you need to have for IT anyway, regardless if it's a Power Platform or not. So you need to figure out where the end users or developers can get help, or the end users when something doesn't work, where do they call, all of that stuff. So it's actually a absolutely good perspective. Now, coming back on something, moving away slightly from the Power Platform, you've been also working on the SharePoint Framework side, because we've been seeing some demos which you've been implement and doing on the community calls. So thank you for those, and contributing for the community. What's your take on the SharePoint Framework and the adaptation on that one, and especially if we concentrate even on the SharePoint in the Microsoft Teams perspective as well? So what about using SharePoint Framework in Teams? And you can be as blunt and transparent on your opinions.
I am a big fan of the client-side code, so I'm starting to write the client code solution in SharePoint 2010 by using the
sandbox solutions.
JavaScript. JavaScript,
SP services,
knockout, and plain JavaScript. So I'm a very big fan. It's more simple to deploy. So you know. Of course, I'm using the SharePoint framework to build personalization. So both the web parts, application customizer. I helped to build some intranet for some clients, and I using a lot SharePoint framework to build component and customization. I'm starting to build the SharePoint framework web part to create application for Teams. It's very interesting. So I think that in the future you need to rename the framework from SharePoint framework to, I don't know.
Anything else.
I think that it's very interesting that this framework. So it's powerful, it's simple to use, and it's very interesting to use the same framework for a lot of services inside the Microsoft 365 ecosystem.
We were internally, by the way, debating on having the name as shared framework. So it's SPFx still.
Yeah. Where's the P then?
Shared platform framework.
Shared. Super platform framework.
Platform. Superb platform framework.
So I have some experience in create application or extension in SharePoint framework. So I'm start this year to write, of course, web part to host so customization in Teams. And I think that application inside, so the web part for Teams, at this moment, it's not very, very, I don't know, powerful. So we need to deploy in the app catalog, share to all the sites. So we need to do some steps that it's not very powerful to an IT admin that have to install this app inside a Teams. But I think that it's a good starting point. I think, yeah. And please.
How would we actually then simplify that? So you're basically saying that the app catalog, the complexity of syncing and everything else just doesn't make any sense. If we would automatically sync the solution, if it has been enabled for Teams, that's absolutely one thing what we're looking to do. Is there any other things? I'm just collecting requirements here, so this is good.
Yeah, like one app catalog for M365.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
Like if you think about simplify, like make it like really simple. One catalog. One package type.
If only. Yes.
It is a moonshot, right? It is a moonshot.
Now, if you think about the different packaging solutions, I don't think we'll never get to the model where it's one unified sample package, because we have a SaaS solutions, and then we have these automatically hosted solutions, right? It's two different concepts. SharePoint Framework is automatically hosted, so you don't actually have to have that website somewhere. Oh. But then you have the SaaS application, which you own, and you're hosting that. You want to expose that inside of Teams.
So to what extent is that different, for example, than a web app that you would run on Azure? Like you have to have a manifest that will create resources in Azure,
sure,
and the code that you actually want to run in there. So you have already zip and a template.
True. Fair point. Yeah, we could certainly go to that direction as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's not taking notes. That's not going to happen.
Let me take some notes. No. But yeah, one step at a time, obviously. But it's good feedback, certainly to make the process more, it's easier and more consistent across the platform. Yeah. So absolutely.
Another thing that I wanted to ask, and again, putting you on a spot, it seems like a common theme for us during this call.
Yes, you don't need to prepare at all, but we'll throw some curveballs. So
well, I mean, even for us, it's like you say a thing, and it's like, and that makes us think about other things too. So, like, what other areas in M365 would you like to be built for using SPFx or something similar? So now currently we already have SharePoint and extensions and Teams, right? So what do you know of anything else that you would like to build using SPFx?
Well, so now with SharePoint Framework, we have the possibility to create, I think in preview, a DIN for Outlook, for example.
Yep.
And could be very interesting to expand this way to create a DIN for all the Office clients, I think. I don't have a big experience on create a DIN for the Office client, but I think that the third step is to move the SharePoint framework from SharePoint, so Teams, and then Office client, I think. Yeah, this is my opinion.
Yeah,
I think.
Let's see if it happens. So, it has the benefit out of automatic hosting. I think the key here is the automatic hosting, so you don't have to have the website somewhere which is hosting your code. So making things super easy then to implement.
Yeah.
But now, coming back on something else, Fabio, what you said, and we wanted to talk about this one, unless, Waldek, you want to stay on this topic still.
No, be my guest.
Just falling around. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So you're an independent consultant.
Yeah.
And you've been for a while. How did you ended up taking that route?
I quit.
So I'm starting an independent consultant. I don't know, more than 12 years ago, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I like to be an independent consultant because so for me it's very interesting to change. So to start a project, to complete a project, and then change the company or so do a different work with the different clients in different projects. So it's very interesting to see a lot of different clients, a lot of different projects, and I like it. I like it.
How did you kind of so basically you ended up there because you want to have that flexibility.
Yeah.
But how do you market yourself? How do you find those customers? Because I think that's always the number one question if somebody is considering going independent.
Yeah.
Is the amount of okay, so how can I guarantee that I will get extra work?
Yeah.
Is there any tricks on that?
So when I start to be independent, I am a MCT trainer, and so I'm working. I'm a consultant and I'm a trainer, and the training, I think it's a good way to collect customers. I think because you have to teach to the customers, and then customer ask you to help to build solution or something like that. Our next big step is to so in this moment, no, you are not able to travel a lot, but to participate to the conference and speak at the conference. It's a good way to transfer your passion and knowledge, and then it's a possible way to collect new customers and new works.
Yeah. So basically get the exposure from the conferences as well.
Yeah.
So is the obviously right now we're in a situation where nobody pretty much travels with a certain exceptions, but a really small number of exceptions. Is the virtual conferences, are they working for getting new customers as well? So is it valuable for you to go to the virtual conferences and try to reach out for the new audience?
Yes, I think yes. It's not the same because when you go to an in-presence conference, you are able to create and maintain the networking relationship, of course, and it's most important than use on a webcam, of course. Yes. But yes. In this period, we need to to use just on a webcam, and I think that now the conferences that we have online are very, very good organized. I don't know. There are many possibilities to participate as a speaker, as an attendee, and then there are some virtual rooms to chat and maintain the networking. But I think it's not the same, but it's powerful to participate in speech online conference.
So getting the name created and exposure obviously is a super important thing. And by the way, for those who are watching and listening, we do have our community calls and there are free spots for the demos, and Fabio has been doing those as well. So that's an easy way to get exposure, hopefully. And that's the whole idea of those community calls as well, that we want to help our MVPs and non-MVPs to get those that exposure. So
and I guess there is maybe another angle that we haven't really had to think about in the past, but maybe that is now more of a thing of these events the way we do them now, right? That like for the event that my team organizes mid-December around building apps for our teams, like another angle that sure there is the live event, the stream, but another angle that we think about that is valuable for everyone else is the ability to host a watch party in which like you are the experts and you bring your community with you where they can ask you everything, right? Because like people on the stream, like we cannot answer everybody's stuff, right? Like if like there is just a handful of us and we don't scale to answer everything. Plus in some parts of the world, like for example, in France, maybe Italy too, people maybe prefer to talk in Italian or French. Yeah. Right. So local folks can be more the experts. And so you're not, yes, you are attending event together, but you're also you're doing that in your own group, right? So you are the expert for them, so you can bring your customer relationship, and maybe through that way, like one, get more out of the event, and two, be like the first line of support for them in case they want to ask anything, they didn't get something, they want to know where to start, they want to try some code, it doesn't work, and so forth, right? So maybe that is another angle that we need to think about together, like how can we use that in this virtual world?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true.
Exposing and helping people to get exposure to their customers and make those connections so that the customers can also find the people who can help them. So it's a multiple ways of on the discussion. Let's actually jump on doing some articles, and then we'll come back on the discussion. So we don't have time just being concerned on that. Jump. So let me share my screen whenever Teams. There we go. Good. Last week was pretty slow on Microsoft people actually publishing anything new. So there was no official blog post in the Microsoft Teams or in ODSP or on those areas, which is interesting. But it was the Thanksgiving week, so that's a good excuse.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, it does make sense. But for the new articles on the Microsoft 365 developer blog, we had a CLI for Microsoft 365 version 3.3 is out. Can you talk about this one, Waldek?
Absolutely. So in this release, we go on with the improvements that we have done recently, where we replaced the core of CLI. We basically had a package that over the course of time got unmaintained, and we either would have to pick it up ourselves, or we thought, like, you know what, we don't need everything from it, so let's remove it and replace it with some of the code that we can maintain ourselves.
Yeah.
And in this version, we did one big change, with it just separating the primary output of a command with everything extra that you would do, for example, in a debug mode, right? So we send one to std out, the other one to std error. It's technical, but basically the gist of it is that you can now have detailed logs separate from the output. So if you have script, you can run your script, and then you can have a log aside without the log being in the way of the script. So there's a big change that we didn't have in the past. Another thing that is great is around help. So with this change, we also were able to leverage the markdown help that we have on our site and show the same help in command line, and not to have two versions of every help, samples, and so forth and so on, because that cuts our time with maintaining it, but also helps everybody who wants to help building the code too, right? So and that is a great thank you to Stefan, who built a package that we use for that. And other than that, we introduced new commands for to-dos, things like get info about how a file is shared, because it's easy to just click share, but then over time you don't know with whom and where, right? So we have now a command that allows you to build a report around it and then manage deleted sites and interact with flows. So with that, summarizing it all, I would encourage you to give it a try. Tell us what you think. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you for that summary. You will actually do the next article as well. So what is this all about? Just to recap on this one.
This is exactly as I said. This is an event that my team is going to host December 16, which is 2-hour live stream around building apps for Teams. Why would you care? What kind of apps can you build? What do you need to know? The most important thing, where do you start? So it's 2-hour live stream. I am there. My team is there. Some other folks are there. We would encourage you to join. And maybe there's also a watch party around you that you can attend with your peers, colleagues, customers, to learn together with us how you build apps for Teams.
Yep, absolutely. So looking forward on this one within a few weeks. So that is on 16th of December. And on this week, we also have Microsoft 365 Shadow Day Ahmedabad, which is a virtual thing as well. So if we go to the schedule, we can briefly have a look on what's happening there. 2 tracks. Gogan is going to be the keynote speaker from Valo Intranet, and we can see that there's a nice international audience, Liam clearly from US, Europeans, APAC. So good coverage across the different topics. Absolutely. So really cool. And then there's also the winter across the Alps, Munich, Vienna. So call-up days in Munich. And I think we have the schedule here as well. So there's actually quite a few tracks. So that's 7 tracks, isn't it?
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So
big event.
A lot of big events, absolutely. So 2 keynotes, Mark D. Anderson talking about the building of modern Microsoft 365 Foundation, and then Fabio and Williams on the developer keynote, and then a lot of other sessions on Saturday as well. And everything is available virtually, so you can actually join on this by yourself.
It's actually cool. On Friday.
Is it on Friday?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Good point. Good correction.
Surprise.
Yes. Good set of sessions for sure. Absolutely. Cool. And then we have a few new samples. So this one is from Adam IT. Adam.
Adam.
I need to go and have a look on Adam's real name. We'll put it in the notes certainly. So he shared this in a Twitter, and this is actually really cool. Adam, by the way, please get this one submitted to the official sample repos as well, because we would love to have this kind of stuff there. And then you can update that one as well. So submit in a pull request. But really cool setup that you can create your personal links, and then those are stored per user, and you can do those in the Microsoft Teams as well, and you can shuffle them. So it's basically your priority links list, so to say. So pretty cool from a technology perspective.
Kinda, yeah.
Exactly. So it's really cool stuff. And then Xiao Mendes had a really cool React management event. There's no controls yet on this one, and there was a really good example in Twitter, a picture of it.
Yeah.
Now I realize that I don't have a picture of it, but I know that Xiao is certainly adding this one to the repo. It's already named using the guidance which we're providing, so people can easily find it. But it's really cool sample using Microsoft Graph Toolkit within the SPFx React implementation and the Fluent UI controls. So really awesome stuff as well. And then Fabio, you actually pretty recently had a community call demo related on React Tailwind CSS. And as we were starting up this call, I just openly said that I had no idea what is a Tailwind CSS. It's like, yeah, you can reference a CSS URL. Whoa. So yes, you can. But what's the whole deal with this one? So
Tailwind CSS, it's an incredible framework. It's a utility CSS framework. And it's helpful to create a UI just to add a specific CSS class name. So you don't need to write complex CSS. You need only to write HTML or React or what you want to write in your framework. So you need to add just specific class names to create, border spacing to position an element inside your elements or something like that. It's very powerful because you are able, with a fraction of the time, you are able to create a complex and beautiful UI controls without write CSS or Sass, for example. And I implemented this example on how to use the Tailwind CSS inside the Sharepoint framework. So we need to modify some configuration file and the gulp to build the CSS result file and then use inside your project. But it's very interesting and very powerful. So I want to update this sample because there are the new version of the Tailwind, the version 2, and there are a lot of new functionality that it's powerful to use inside Sharepoint framework.
So is that can you compare that in a way, like way back when we had Bootstrap? Is that kind of similar?
Yeah, it's not very similar. So in Bootstrap, you already have some classes that style some type of control. For example, the button control. Mm-hmm. Here, you don't have the button class. You have the utility to change the color of the border, the dimension of the border, to spacing the button, to change the background or something like that. And it's very simple to mesh up these classes and then create your own style for the button, for example.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. That looks really, really good. And it's nicely adapting also from the based on responsiveness of the page. You can then do a different kind of rendering like we're seeing here. So really, really cool stuff as well. So awesome stuff. Good. Moving on new articles. Yannick Reitman had a article earlier today, well, actually yesterday. Secure app-only authentication with CLI for Microsoft 365 SaaS PnP PowerShell using variable groups in Azure DevOps. So basically, automating stuff and to be able to execute stuff in the cloud as a scheduled service, so to say, or as a what's the right way of saying this? Daemon service?
Yeah. So basically, the idea is to use it from CI/CD, right? So you have a unattended app.
Yep.
In which you want to do some automation, and for that you need to be able again to authenticate to 365. And you do that, like in this example, both from CLI and PowerShell. And he did a really great job, like going even to length. We're saying, well, in PowerShell it's simple. In CLI it's not yet. And I think like these are the 3 or 4 things that we could do to simplify. It's like unbelievable, like the amount of effort he put into that, and also feedback that he gave us that we can immediately act upon. Like, this is good. This is like, yes, these are things that we can change to make things easier. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the difference here is that the PnP PowerShell is super optimized for the authentication model. It's basically that one, but for the CLI, you need to do some extra step. But of course, you can make that easier in the future. So, absolutely.
Well, I think the difference there is that in PowerShell already you get more support for things like search, whereas here you work directly with Node and Shell, and Bash doesn't really do anything with search. So there's like there is less for you to build upon, and that means that you need to implement more of that in tooling.
Absolutely. Cool, really cool stuff. Now, this one is from Liam Workman, tips for getting started with SharePoint custom development. That one was, click over there. So a good list of things, how to get started, 5 tips using SPFx, and other the kind of a guidance on how to get started, learnings related on things from people who are building stuff, and there's a nice set of articles and tips for the developer. Extend TypeScript or
turn it off. No, don't turn it off. No. Your mileage may vary.
Yes, a lot of that's. I don't think this one was best practices, it's tips, which is good. So rather than we don't see actually those articles anymore which are claiming best practices for whatever, because
because the articles would be really short. It depends. There you go.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, let's move to the next one. So this one is Waldek from you. Handle app button events in Microsoft Teams tab. How did you know about this?
From you. No, recently there was credits go where credits do. Recently there was of the Teams JS SDK in which the Teams team introduced 3 new events that you can handle that are around the button of your app in the left rail. So there's a hover, there is like the opposite of hover. Blur, no hover. So there is the hover enter, hover leave, and click. There you go. All right, and with that, like you can handle these events in your app. So in here right now on the screen, you see a handler that shows a panel inside our app in Teams. So that is great for doing things like additional nav or some other actions in your app triggered from the left rail.
And so basically where this one is coming from, that's how I knew about them, is that the upcoming portal application from the native portal application from SharePoint is actually using this as well. So that was a request from
the access to.
Yes.
Well, You're like,
but basically, when you click
like,
that one, then you get a list of sites and navigation and your recent files and all of that visible. But obviously, when we implement something like that for the first-party experiences, and then it's available for third-party as well, like it should be. So it's really cool that the capabilities are now available for everybody today. So, and it's a quite simple thing to actually catch on those.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Like it should be. Good. The second thing was a build full page Microsoft Teams tabs. So this one came out last week as well.
Correct, and that's been available for a while already, right? So, so for a while now, we have this ability in Teams to say that your app should be shown full screen without the tab header bar. I think it's called, yes. So with that, you get more screen estate for your app, as well as basically full control of how you want to show nav, which is then great in combination with the app button events.
Yeah, and it is seriously just nothing more than actually in the manifest there's a new attribute, which was relatively, well, not super recently, a while ago introduced in the manifest, but I think we as a Microsoft, we need to do a better job of also explaining when these new attributes are coming out. So not just adding that to the documents doesn't mean that anybody knows about it. So
yeah, and that's on me now, right? So
yes. Good. And then this one's really cool from Thomas Gölles, related on how to present at online meetings and events like an Ignite Superstar. So, so basically walking through OBS and how OBS and scenes work and how you can build different kind of scenes and how you can actually do green screen or take advantage of it or split your screen in two and then overlay something on top of it. So how to do all of this stuff within your own computer. You can actually quite easily do that and combine the elements and all of that stuff. So Thomas is walking this through one step at a time, and there he is in ghost mode, basically.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's actually pretty cool. And OBS is a free software. It is relatively, how would I put it in a nice way? I think it's fair to say that it's quite complex because it has so many options and configuration options. But the basics, when you learn the basics, you can really easily do the shared video feeds together with the presentation. That's actually pretty cool. So yeah, cool. And then we have a few videos. So Kislan has a how to use Microsoft Graph Toolkit with React. So basically a video on that one and walking through the process. Not a super long video, if I remember correctly. So 13 minutes, quite nicely timed video as well. So getting started on doing that thing. Paolo Pialorsi had a good video related on building Microsoft Teams task modules with Yo Teams. So which is something which, well, Yo Teams is the TypeScript version for doing development in Microsoft Teams. And then there's the Microsoft Teams Toolkit, which is targeting right now the JavaScript-based implementation. So that's a good list of things. And he's smiling, see? So,
of course he is.
And then Rabia was a visitor in the Jenny MS How-To show and walking through how to build a me experience in Microsoft Teams using Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So really cool stuff as well. But yeah, so basically walking through what does it actually mean when we're taking advantage of the Graph Toolkit inside of SPFx and how can we then build a complete solution based on the thinking. We've been covering the me experience quite heavily in this weekly show. Wonder why. So
it's great.
It's great, actually. It's a great concept for sure. So, and I think a lot of customers are looking into having these kind of things in the front of their screen. So really cool. And then Laura had a really super popular blog post again. She doesn't blog too often, but when she does, everybody always jumps on it. So exactly. Yeah. So authenticating to Azure AD protected APIs with managed identity and no key vault required. So walking through security, she's now aligning and heading more to the security side of the house. Super interested in those things as well. But basically walking through what's the managed identity and how to take advantage of it. Also in Power Platform and how all of this actually works together. Yeah. So really cool stuff. Identity is always hard. So simplifying that is always good. Now, this one is from Sarah Haas. Is Inbox Zero achievable or relevant in Microsoft Teams world? That's actually an interesting question.
I think that is a good question to you, Vesa, because I think your teams are on fire.
Oh, you've seen my team. It's pretty hectic.
Yeah.
So luckily we have pinning and all of that stuff. But it's so whenever there's just isn't enough time to deal with all of the incoming messages. This is an interesting discussion, and there's multiple perspective on it. And of course, it depends on the amount of messages what you're getting. But at least for me, it's super hard to keep up to date, at least in the even the mentions, because one of the things what I noticed is that if you check the mentions in your mobile, it basically considers you to seen them. And then when you come to the desktop, you're like, well, you missed them. So you don't have the mention anymore indicating.
Okay. Yeah. It's okay.
That might be a problem because then you might actually miss something. So it's, anyway. So, And this one is from John Lee, self-service Microsoft Forms for external guests to use Power App. So that's actually sounds pretty interesting as well. So combining the Microsoft Forms together with Power Apps and then creating experiences together with Flow. And with a app registration and all of that stuff. So auth is always a challenge, but with external audiences and external people. And that's actually super important as well. So really cool stuff from John. From Edio, DevHack, dismiss messaging extension dialog in Microsoft Teams. And this is basically when you're implementing a messaging extension with SPFx, how would I actually close the messaging extension? Good reference code as well. So that it's actually documented, because I don't think this is documented super well in our official docs. Maybe it should be.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Two more. How to deploy Yo Teams generated project in Azure through Azure DevOps. We actually had this last week. Waldek.
Is this? So this is from, yes, you're right. You are right. We're sharing it again because it's so good.
It is so good. Thank you, Victor.
I read this article this morning.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it is up to date still. Like there are people who haven't seen it. So
not everybody in the world has not seen it. What do you mean?
What? Exactly.
And then Peter Venstra, the target in the launch function in Power Apps. So what does this actually mean in the Power Apps, and how does it actually then? Fabio, what does this mean? I don't know. Tell me.
For open, I think on a new URL inside on a browser. Yeah, and I don't use the launch function at this moment, but I think that it's for open a new page in a new tab.
Yeah, makes absolute sense, and a good level of putting you on a spot.
Yeah,
good guidance from Peter on how to make that happen. How does it actually
yet? I'm still on the other one, DevOps one.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, let's actually stop that one. So we still have plenty of time to talk if we want, but
well, we were supposed to stop on the hour, which we missed by 4 minutes. So
we did?
Yes.
My time, wow. Unbelievable.
Central Helsinki time. It's 5 minutes left to an hour.
My computer time actually is frozen because I hit the toolbar and it actually is frozen the Explorer time which is because for me it shows
you're like,
we're
fine, and then in 10 minutes we're still fine. No, we're not.
Okay. Anyway, what's happening this week? Anything cool? Let's close up.
Fabio.
So
customer.
Yeah, I have a lot of work to do to close all the projects in for the end of the year.
I think that's the cultural difference. In US, the rush was for the Thanksgiving because you need to get everything done by the Thanksgiving. And in Europe, it's the rush for the mid-December or the 20th of December. We just need to get everything done. So, which typically is pretty stressful. So because then at the same time you need to deal with the Christmas and everything else, and then get everything done. So it's okay. What about you, Waldek? All good with the Learn setup already?
Yeah, so tomorrow we do the recordings of some of the things. So event is live, but then we're doing some prep work. So that is tomorrow, and I think after that we'll be able to breathe again. So other than that, plenty of work around Microsoft Graph Toolkit, other areas like Lookbook.
Oh, the extensibility.
Exactly. You heard it here first.
Yes.
yeah, so all that, and then we go on working with CLI. So we have now tons of new ideas for improvements from folks like Annick. So we need to get to work again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working this week on some telemetry stuff, which is always interesting to get more insights on the usage patterns and all of that. It's just on the telemetry, it's actually pretty mind-blowing when you consider the data lakes which we have around the data in our logs, and then we start analyzing anonymously, obviously, that data, so we understand usage patterns. But the number, the data amounts are just, there's just terabytes and petabytes, which you're basically crawling. So, and then you pick and choose what of the data what you actually get, and then you start reporting on that. So it's actually pretty cool. And always get that one then completed is the hard thing. So, but it should be good for this week. And then we're working on that Microsoft 365 extensibility lookbook. You hear it first, like Waldek said. So we're looking into having hopefully that one live by end of calendar year. Well, actually, officially January, kind of. Ooh, let's see. Anyway, so a teaser on something which we are not allowed to talk at this point more, but still. But thank you, Fabio, for joining. I do apologize.
Thank you very much.
I completely lost track of time. It's still 3:45 in my calendar. So, but thank you, Fabio, and thank you, Waldek, and we'll be back with PnP Weekly. Thank you in a week. So, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.